Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of HouseBall. Today we have a space theme, and sort of a way to honor 2022. If you're sort of a space nut like I am, this has been an unbelievable year. About 2 years actually. I mean, we have Bezos and Musk with SpaceX and Blue Origin putting people into space. William Shatner, Captain Kirk, got to go into space. We have currently, as I'm recording this, the Artemis 1 mission is going on, and that's the beginning of the return to the moon and eventually Mars. It's a really exciting time, or in the infancy. There was a time when the famous and the rich got to go on airplanes, and that was ooh, ah. Look at it now. Any of us? I flew to Florida and back for $120 round trip a couple years ago. Our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, they may vacation in space. So yeah, just a marvelous time if you're a space travel kind of geek like I. So I decided to take that, bring that into the realm of pinball, and today's theme is space. So the first table we got is Williams. It is Space Mission. This was manufactured in January of 1976. It, of course, is by Williams. Steve Kordek was the guy with the concept. He also was the game designer and the mechanics engineer. Artwork was by Christian Marche. They produced 11,652 of this particular game. Its estimated value was about $1,100. It's a normal cabinet. It's an old electromechanical machine, so it's got the bells and the chimes and the turnstile, mechanical scoreboards, things of that sort. This has a 7.8 out of 10 pinball ratings, and you can get one on the market. There's one in New Brighton, Pennsylvania right now for only $600. The median asking price, however, is running about $1,000, so the machine is still selling for about what it cost when it was new, which is just amazing. So I'm going to play one game here of Space Mission. Now, as an interesting sidebar, there was another machine, pinball table, called Space Odyssey. It was the same table. The only difference was this particular version is a 4-player game. Space Odyssey was a 2-player game. So that's just an interesting piece of trivia. So let's play a game of Space Mission. Definitely, you can feel right away. You can tell this is a early 70s, mid 70s era pinball machine. You know, compared to what you see in pinball machines nowadays, there's not a whole lot going on. It also still has the old scoring system where you were getting, you're getting 500 points, 100 points instead of, the thousands and millions and tens of thousands you get on the newer machines. So your scores were obviously much lower. Now, I'll be honest, I have played this table some. I downloaded mainly because I'm a space nut. And the graphic there on the back glass is, their representation of an Apollo-Soyuz mission, which if you don't know your history, there was a time we took our remaining Apollo capsule, launched it into space with a mating adapter, and got together with a Russian Soyuz program. And this was during the Cold War, mind you, so this was a big deal. So the backboard sort of celebrates that. Like I said, I don't like this table because as you can see on the sides, it's only got the drain lanes. It don't have a return lane. I like return lanes. I need return lanes. I'm not that good of a pinball player. Over half of the board, the play field is just empty board. There's just not enough action going on to keep me entertained. And I hate these things where the ball keeps dropping in the sides and kicking out. I absolutely hate them. But the way I play pinball, they fall in there a lot, and it just slows the pace of the game, and not a big fan. As I've mentioned before, being an electromechanical game with the bells and chimes, I love the old sounds. I just do not particularly care for the old play for most of these tables. They're just not entertaining enough for me, and the brain's right again. Now this is an old machine. This was back when you got 2 games for a quarter and 5 balls per game. That's not the case anymore. So that was a simple example of Space Mission, one of the more popular games in the 70s. Considered very successful for Williams. You combine that with Space Odyssey, they did excellent with it. So we'll be back for our next game in just a moment. Alright, up next is one of my favorite pinball machines. It is Space Shuttle, a pinball adventure. This was by Williams. This was manufactured beginning in November of 1984. The concept was by Joe Kamikow. Game design, Barry Ausler. Very, very popular outside of the Ritchie brothers. He would probably be next on the list of my favorite pinball designers. And Joe also helped out with the game design. Software, Larry DeMar. Mark Springer. Sound by Bill Parrott, Eugene Jarvis. And callouts, the voice, Steve Ritchie. Yes, he helped and cooperated with lots of people. And he lends his voice to a lot of early 80s, mid-80s pinball and video games. So just something to know. He also created Defender. If you've ever played a Defender, you've played a Steve Ritchie game. They made, let's see, about 7,000 of these. It's a solid-state machine. It sold for $2,100 to $2,400. 4 players, 2 flippers, 1 ramp, 3-ball multi-ball. This game gets a 7.7 out of 10 pinball rating on pin side. These are still on the market. There's 2 ads currently. One is in New Brighton, Pennsylvania for $2,300, and one is in Irvine, California for $3,000. Median asking price is about $2,300 for one of these puppies. So again, still selling at or above original value. It's amazing. Now I will say, with the particular visual pinball game, the Space Shuttle's coming up. It's been a little buggy for me. I don't know why that is. I need to maybe change the software that it's running to emulate the game. I got something in there I just quite haven't gotten right yet. But when it plays well, it's a fabulous game. So we're going to play at least one game of Space Shuttle. More going on than Space Mission, as you can tell. You got the ball locks, Steve Ritchie. This has got a unique layout where the traditional pinball bumpers that everybody associates with a pinball machine. You know, most machines, you got them right up top on the center for the most part. This is one of the early ones that I played where it actually moved them. They're all on the upper left by the drop lanes. And that's something a little unique. I like that. Got a weak plunger. There we go. You light up USA, that's what advances your 2 times, 3 times, 4 times multipliers. Again, I like having those drop lanes and the bumpers up top like that. Sometimes they're so compact in such a tight space. Sometimes the ball really builds up some speed when they're up there. Definitely mid-80s sounds. You know, acoustically, there's not a whole lot new in here. A lot of these sounds were common on many of the Williams tables. They, you know, digital audio and all that was still pretty much in its infancy. So they rehashed the same sounds on several machines. Go figure. You never match. Alright. I'm going to play one more game just because that one sucked. And I'm too busy talking. So I'm going to try to concentrate a little more and see if I can get you at least a somewhat respectable game. You can see how sometimes the ball would really pick up some speed. Shooting out of there. Side drains. I hate them.
Ready, pilot, one.
No match. Anyway, that's Space Shuttle, again by Williams. One of my favorites. It's probably one of my favorite video pinballs. There was a Williams Pinball Arcade available for PlayStation, Xbox, and all that, and this is one of my favorite tables to play on the traditional gaming consoles. In fact, I had one game I lasted an hour on the game. My oldest son, who's the video game guru of the family, he was impressed. That's probably the best pinball game of any kind I've ever played in my life. So I have a special spot for Space Shuttle, and I'll be back with our next table in just a moment. Alright, our next pinball table is continuing the space theme, is Space Station Pinball Rendezvous. This too is a Williams machine. This was manufactured beginning in December of 1987. Its team concept was by Barry Ausler, which did Space Shuttle. He also was the designer. Software was by Ed Boon, artwork by Tim Elliott. Brian Schmidt did the sound and the music, and the callouts were by Mr. Steve Ritchie. They produced 3,800 of these. Their estimated value $2,400 to $2,800. Gets 7.7 out of 10 pinballs on the Pinside rating system. There is one available in the market for $1,800 in San Ramon, California. Estimated, or the average price, median asking price for this machine, if you want one on the market, is right around $2,600. So again, selling for about what it was worth when it was new. Now, just before I start playing this table here, you can see, if you look at it, it's got some similarities to Space Shuttle. A lot of people consider this the sequel to Space Shuttle. You got your drop lanes and your and bumpers on the upper left, like you did in Space Shuttle. You have to spell out shuttle. You also have station you need to spell out. This game has no return lanes, so not too thrilled about that. That's an immediate knock on the game itself. I'll go ahead and start her up so you can see it a little better. But we'll see how it goes. It also has got it's got a ramp, but as you can see, it's also got a drop target. You got to drop down before you can get up into the ramp, so that could be interesting. One little nitpicky thing, Space Shuttle had this too. I didn't mention it on that, but it's just a case of either they're taking artistic license, or quite possibly they just don't know. You got images on both tables where you have the Space Shuttle with the three main engines firing. Without an external tank, that never, ever, ever, ever happened. It's not possible. Those main engines were used for takeoff only. Once the external tank was jettisoned, that was all she wrote. People also don't know that above those main engines are two smaller engines, and that was part of the orbital maneuvering system, and those in fact were used during the mission, and that's how they adjusted their altitude and speed once they were in orbit. It wasn't the big three engines, it was the smaller engines on the back, the OMS engines. In fact, those engines, as well as the Space Shuttle main engines, are used with the Artemis program on the Space Launch System booster. The main engines at the bottom are literally 4 Space Shuttle engines at the current moment. Once they go through all those, then there will be a new simplified version of that engine. They also use those engines that the Space Shuttle used to maneuver in orbit. There's derivatives of those that are actually used on the surface module for the Orion spacecraft. And, of course, the solid rocket boosters, like an extended version of those, at least for the early Space Launch System launches. But anyway, enough of that off my soapbox. Let's play a game of Space Station. Obviously, as you can tell, we do have some docking, some ball locks. Early observations from this game, because I've not played it much at all, is there is some speed to this table, which is good. Whereas I think lighting up the shuttle is, a reasonable goal for most pinball players. I think lighting up all these station signs is going to be a challenge. How many of you noticed over where the score is, the DMD, that background? That is a third-party background that I just grabbed so I had something on the screen. You would not have seen that with this game because it did not have that type of DMD about it, which is dot matrix display. And that, yes, that is DS9. And a stupidly modified space shuttle that keeps flying behind it. If you're going to put the DS9 on the freaking screen, put the freaking Defiant or the Enterprise flying, not a space shuttle that has an extra engine above the cargo bay and thus making the cargo bay useless. Again, no return lane. So that is Space Shuttle. Like I said, I played it a few times. Good speed. I like it. I wish it had some return lanes on the side. It does have a kickback, which is activated quite a bit on the left side. That helps. But a return lane on the right, sort of like Space Shuttle had, would have been ideal. That's my only critique for this table. Outside of that, it plays great. I've never played this in the real world, but if I stumble across one, I most certainly will. I'll be back in just a moment for our fourth and final table. It has a couple unique features about it, one of which is it has a 13-ball multi-ball. Yes, that might pose a problem. Can you guess what the table is? I'll be right back. Our next table here is Apollo 13 from Sega. This was manufactured from October of 1995. Game designer was Joe Bowser. Joe Kakamakaw, sorry, I always pronounce that, Kamakaw, was a part of the game design. Mechanics by Joe Balker, John Borg, and Rob Hurtado. Software by Lonnie Ropp, Neil Falconer, and Oren Day. Artwork by Jeff Bush and Mark Rothkrantz. Animation on the DMD by Jack Linden, Kurt Anderson, and Mark Renaces. Sound and music by Mr. Brian Schmidt. 2,000 were produced. 4,500 to 5,200 is the estimated value. 6 players, 2 flippers, 3 ramps, and a potential for 13-ball multi-ball. Now, the odds of me showing that to you today are pretty slim, but I'll give it my best shot. It gets a 7.4 out of 10 on the Pinside rating system. There are no available on the market according to this site that they know of, but it sells for a median asking price of $4,875. So, still selling at a pretty good price. So, with that being said, let's give Apollo 13 a try. Now, first thing, you can use your flipper. You can pick novice or regular. I'm picking novice.
Welcome aboard, Apollo 13.
All right, so 13-ball multi-ball is a potential. Now, you'll notice if you look at the artwork, you see many of the characters from the movie Apollo 13, but there is one person missing. That person being Mr. Tom Hanks. He would not grant permission for his likeness to be used on the pinball machine. It's a shame. It would have been great to have him front and center there instead of the guy in the lunar suit, but it is what it is. And it does use some sound from the movie. Shoot rocket for multi-ball ready, it says. Easier said than done. Especially when it's trying to do that to you. Shot the rocket. See, the rocket moves. Great toys, as they call them. Now, this obviously is a multi-ball, but it is not the 13-ball multi-ball, which is insane when it does happen. Quickly back down to 1 ball. Ah. Go on the moon. Will I match? No, we lost the moon, man. How depressing. One more game. This game also has some DMD games that pop up from time to time. There's a version of Lunar Lander that you try to play as a bonus. I wasn't any good at Lunar Lander. I'm not good at it on here either. I got a complete blast off. Dang it. There we go. For 13 ball play. Dang it! Multi-ball is a go! Oh, I hit the light setting. There we go. Down the middle. I felt that coming.
Going to the moon. That's a negative, yeah.
Just lost the moon. Oh my goodness. But anyway, there you go. Apollo 13. Great game. Highly recommend it. I'm not a huge Sega guy, especially in the 90s. I don't think they quite had their footing yet. But this is probably my favorite Sega game of the 90s. And so that wraps up this version of HouseBall. Next time we're going to go down memory lane to Saturday mornings. And we're going to do pinball tables with a theme of cartoons. So expect some Looney Tunes, some Simpsons, some Tom and Jerry, and a couple surprises as well. Until next time, everybody, for HouseBall. Have a great day.